Good evening again, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed their meal. You partake of the cakes. They're really looking good. There's a lemon and there's a chocolate peanut butter, but there's plenty back there, so please enjoy. We'll get moving a little bit on our program here. I'd like to welcome the military and the veterans, honored guests, and vendors who are supporting our township. You will notice there is a list provided on the tables that the program committee has put together. So if you would support those folks, we'd be grateful. The theme for tonight is Rooted in Tradition, Growing for Tomorrow. Rooted in tradition, we are known to be a rural farming community, conservative in values, loyal in our traditions, supportive to our neighbors, and proud of who we are. Growing for tomorrow means smart municipal planning that requires thoughtful growth and development and planning so we can progress into tomorrow, but not lose who we are today. We'd like to ask our active duty military and veterans, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. We'd like you all to stand, please. And excuse me, also our honored guest, 33rd Senate District since 2019, Doug Mastriano, he is not here. 193rd District Representative since 2018, Torrin Ecker. And 91st District Representative since 2006, Dan Mao, who lives right here within our boundaries. Again, please, honored guests and veterans, stand. We'd like to applaud you for all you've done for us. For without you, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you all. Bless you. We also have with us our county commissioners, Randy File and Jim Martin. We have some special guests this evening. Sandy Aldridge, who is the wife of the late John Aldridge. He was our president for a few years. Bob Gordon, Mr. Gordon. He was our ACATO for 18 years. Thank you, Bob. Nina Tipler. She is the Borough Association president, and her husband, Mike Tipler, who is the York Springs Municipal Authority president. Right? Gotcha. And Martha O'Brien, who was our ACATO auditor this year. Thank you, folks, for coming. We appreciate you folks being here. Oh, and least I say, we do have some really important guests that usually don't show up. You know, they're bigwigs. Our PSAT's executive board, Dave Sanko and the rest of the board. So we are pleased that you're here this evening and honored. Thank you so much. They will be saying a few words, very few, okay? We're going to keep them, you know, I'm going to take the mic out of their hand. Next, we're going to say, I'd like Bob Gordon to make his way up here, please, if you would. You told me your daughter's going to push you up. Come on, let her do it. Gee whizzers. While Bob's getting his way up here, the rest of the committee, these ladies over here are super, super helpful. They helped get this all together. Shannon Hare, Carol Bollinger, and Mitzi I'm going to say it wrong, Watley, why? Okay, these ladies are super. They're very big help. Shannon's our secretary, and Mitzi and Carol both help. We also have Susan Plank over here as our treasurer, and Sean is our vice president. So, you guys, come on. You want to turn him around here? So, before I give you the mic, He wants the mic. So Sean, since you're down there, you're gonna have to take it from him because he'll just keep talking. He said. So.
For Bob's commitment to this organization, a little plaque here to commemorate his 18 years of service to ACATO. We'd like to present with this plaque. It's a commitment to excellence presented to Bob Gordon for 18 years of dedicated service to ACATO. Thank you very much, Bob, for all that you've done over the last 18 years.
Thank you very much, Sean. I asked the man how much time I had because I said it's dangerous giving me a microphone. I like to talk a lot. But I will be brief, but there are a few things I really need to say. 18 years as a township supervisor in Hamilton Township, and I retired December 31st. Number one, I wanted to say a shout out to my teammate for those 18 years in Hamilton Bay, which is Colleen Reamer. I see her name on the program tonight. Colleen and I were teammates for 18 years. We joined the Hamilton Bay Board in 2006 when the board increased from 3 members to 5 members. I served the board for 10 years as chairman, and at that point, Ed Deerdorf, who is here, who is the current chairman, is still chairman of the board. In terms of this association, one of my first memories, really, was a trip that I made to Penn State with then President Chantelo from Mount Joy and Vice President Bill McMaster from Oxford. We went to Penn State for a conference that PSAT sponsored that was dealing with townships. Very informational and very educational, and I really enjoyed that meeting. Secondly, I want to say, as part of ACATO, I served as the legislative committee chair for all that time. That gave me the opportunity to get township issues before our elected officials, and I want to personally say that was an experience that I will never forget. I got to become personal friends with Representative Dan Mount, who is here tonight, and I appreciate that relationship I have with Dan. I also became very good friends with former Senator Rich Alloway. That was an exceptional relationship. And of course, I can't forget the county commissioners, Randy Fowle, Jim Martin, and Mark Qualley. It has been a tremendous opportunity for me and a great experience to be able to say that those 5 gentlemen are very good friends of mine. I will always treasure that. Today, I left the area back, I retired from the board in December, and I left the area shortly after that. My wife and I have a lot of medical issues. We currently reside in a nursing home in Chester County, and my daughter Susan is the reason I'm here tonight. She brought me. I have a second daughter that also lives in Chester County who had planned to come, but unfortunately was not feeling well and couldn't make the trip. These days, when I meet friends in Chester County and tell them about myself, I tell them that I was in banking for 40 plus years, I was local government for 20 plus years, and I lived in Adams County for 55 years, Florida, 6 years. It was quite a span of time and quite a career, and I enjoyed every minute of it. When I got the invitation to attend this evening, I really didn't ever expect to be here because I have so many medical problems. But I'm happy to say, and as you can see, I'm not looking too bad tonight. I'm very, very happy to be here, and I thank you all. It's so good to see all my friends and former associates. I was really looking forward to this evening very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. When I saw that the theme of the meeting tonight had to do with agriculture, and Secretary Reddy was here, I thought a side note might get a few laughs or a few comments from some of you. I was born on my grandfather's farm. My wife was born on her grandfather's farm, both in Adams County. For a long time, I worked as a young man and into my early teenage years on my grandfather's farm until he decided to sell the farm and retire. So Secretary Redding, maybe you could say I come from an agricultural background, I don't know. But I certainly know how important agriculture is to the economy and to our daily lives. And I appreciate the time that I had together there. I promised I would be brief, so I will be. I'll shut up. Thank you to the members of the executive committee, to all of you. It's so great to see you all again. Continued success. God bless, and good night.
Thank you, Bob. And it's Bob's fault that I'm standing here and Sean's here. It was his insight that when he came to me and asked me if I'd consider this, I was both blown away, flustered, just overwhelmed, because he had that kind of thoughtfulness in me. So I hope I can make him proud tonight. I know Sean is. He's a great vice president, again, and the girls that helped me. So thank you for everything. Thank you again, Bob. Moving on, we have some speakers now. It's PSATs. I told them they have 10 minutes. So I'm going to introduce, and his name is Stephen Hess. Did I get it right? Yay. He is first vice president. Yeah. Hot dog. I'm 2 for 2. And he was a township supervisor. Oh, you were? Okay. You still are. I'm sorry, I forget where at. Columbia County. So he has a few words to say. Mr. Hess, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invitation to the executive board. We were gracious enough to come. I mean, you were gracious enough to invite us. We were over in Gettysburg for our fall meetings with our standing committees and the executive board. So thank you again. I think you need to thank your whole committee and your president and your officers, because they put on a great convention, and I think that deserves a round of applause. I just want to say I am a township supervisor in North Center Township in Columbia County. It's up in north central, northeast part of the state. But this is beautiful country here. I just want to say that PSATS is here for you all the time. All you need to do is pick up the phone. And please come to conference, because there's so much there to learn and just deals with everyday stuff that we deal with all the time. But I'm just going to give the microphone to Brian Regert. He is our Deputy Director of Government Relations, and he's going to go through some presentations for you.
10 minutes, Brian. No more. Not a minute.
I thought it was only 5, so I've doubled. Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 5.
Well, thank you guys very much. Is this on? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys very much for having me. I very much appreciate it. As Steve said, my name is Brian Rengert. I am the Deputy Director of Government Relations for PSATS. Oh, you can't hear me. Now can you? No? Hello? There? Okay. So my name is Brian Rengert. I am the Deputy Director of Government Relations. What that means is I spend most of my time in Harrisburg working with the state legislature, the House and Senate members, to help pass priorities and legislation that helps you as township supervisors better do your jobs. A lot of what we do is also stopping bad things from happening. And I will hit on a couple of the wins that we have had this year, both legislatively in getting things done as well as stopping things, and some of the things that we're looking at for next year. I also want to say you guys have a great legislative team. 2 of your state house members are here. They do a great job representing local government and understanding the things that you need. So you have a great resource in them, and I'm sure they're always available to talk to you if you ever need anything. As you know, PSATS is a member services organization, so we are committed to helping you through advocacy, education, and service. And we're here for you. So anytime I talk to a group, that is the biggest takeaway that hopefully you walk away with, is that if you need something, please reach out. And thank you for the work that you do, because local government really is the cornerstone of Pennsylvania and what makes our state such a great place to live. And really, we're also looking towards future generations and what who our future leaders are, which is why last year PSATs rolled out a scholarship program for young students, $1,500 for 4 students who are graduating from high school. So if any of you know of people who are involved in local government or their community, and this is something that could help them, we're asking you to help us get the word out. We're also very much focused on education and providing more resources to you guys so that you can better do your jobs. How many of you have attended the conference in the past? A good number of you, but there are many that are not. It is a great opportunity to network and learn, to find out new things that are happening and changing. And it's a really great resource for your municipality. I'm going to show a short video in a moment, but one story I do like to share. I was talking to a township supervisor who was there last year. He brought his road crew up with him. His road crew was in our vendor hall, speaking to some of our vendors. They met a vendor who had a new technology, saved their municipality $75,000 on a project that they were doing. That is real money. That is just one of the values that you can take away from spending some time in Hershey. I'm going to see if my clicker works and show a very short video highlighting the conference coming up from May 4th through May 7th in Hershey. 1 second. Welcome to the annual PSAT Education Conference and Exhibit Show, where municipal leaders, officials, and vendors converge for an unforgettable experience. With a fantastic lineup of speakers, over 75 workshops, and the largest indoor-outdoor municipal exhibit show on the East Coast, this event promises unparalleled opportunities for growth and collaboration. Thousands of township officials, families, and vendors from across the state will be in attendance, making this the highlight of the year. It's a chance for township officials to reaffirm their commitment to public service, network, and engage with the state association. PSATS is dedicated to enhancing the attendee experience, from streamlining registration and personalizing agendas to social events. The conference mobile app puts all event and workshop information at your fingertips. Additional opportunities abound, including the legislative reception, ambassador program, and more. Choose from over 75 workshops covering administration, public works, planning, zoning, and public safety. The Indoor-Outdoor Exhibit Show boasts around 300 exhibit spaces, transforming the Great American Hall and outdoor parking lots into a hub of innovation and collaboration. Whether you're from a rural or suburban township, large or small, this conference is for you. It's an educational event, a business meeting, and a showcase of municipal excellence. Attend 3 inspiring general sessions, witness prestigious award programs, and participate in countless workshops. Network with fellow officials and exhibitors. It's where association policy takes shape. Represent your township in Hershey at the PSATS Annual Conference, scheduled from May 4th to May 7th, 2025. Don't miss out. So it is a great opportunity. You guys are just a short drive away from Hershey, so even if you go out for a day, I would definitely recommend you looking into it. It is, as I said, a great opportunity, and one of the many services that PSATS offers. Additionally, we also put out the morning news every morning. Hopefully many of you are already receiving that. It is a daily email digest that covers really everything township related, from legislative news to grants that are available, and every educational opportunity you could possibly think of. We also recently put out a book called Beyond the Code, which is one of our newest publications for sale at PSATS if you're interested. It's really a deep dive into the second-class township code. We all know that there's a lot of unanswered questions in the way the code is written, and this provides the background information that maybe you and your team at the township are looking for. Another big thing, as I said, was what we do is advocacy. We work very closely with the state legislature to try and accomplish things on a legislative level to help you do your job better, and give you the tools to help implement the vision that you have for your township. But your officials want to hear from you too. So we encourage you to get out, talk to your officials, talk to them about the issues that you care about. I do want to spend, and I think I still have 3 minutes left, do want to highlight a couple of the legislative priorities that we got done this last year. We were able to accomplish increasing the cap on supervisor compensation. The cap for supervisor compensation has not been raised since the mid-90s. So if that is something that you are interested in, we do have sample ordinances on our website that you can look at. We also last year had the cap on auditor pay increased from $10 an hour to $18 an hour. So if that is something that your municipality is interested in, we also have sample ordinances of that available. We know one of the biggest functions of municipal government is transportation and infrastructure. A lot of us rely on liquid fuels dollars. Unfortunately, those liquid fuels dollars have continued to decline over the years. This year, the legislature implemented an EV fee, electric vehicle fee, that will go into effect, I believe, April of 2025. Revenue collected from that EV fee will now be put into the liquid fuels fund. So hopefully, at the very least, we will be seeing a leveling off of that decline. And PSATS continues to work for creative solutions to provide more money for infrastructure and roads so that you guys can better do your jobs. One of our biggest legislative wins, I think, of the year was not what we accomplished, but what we stopped from happening. We all know that there's a housing crisis out there. Home prices are through the roof. But there was a coalition in Harrisburg that formed at the beginning of the year that blamed local township supervisors for the reason of a housing crisis. They said that you were not allowing enough to be built, and if we created statewide zoning, everything would go away. Unfortunately, these things did nothing to increase affordable housing stock. It merely put power into the hands of developers to build whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted. A large number of you, perhaps some of you even in this room, came together, helped work with PSATS to reach out to your legislators. Ultimately, that legislation did not go anywhere and stopped. One of the bad news is with legislation is it can start back up again. So we are anticipating that next year someone will introduce the same legislation, and we will have to continue to fight to keep local control because it's you who knows what's best for your communities. Also looking forward to next year, there are a couple of things that we are focused on. Legal advertising, we understand that it's a huge unfunded mandate on you guys and something that we're looking at. Also right to know reform, particularly as technology continues to evolve. Many of you are getting inundated with more and more right to knows, automated and AI generated requests. This is a huge burden on you and your staff and something that we are looking at to try to address with the legislature. With that, I want to thank you guys for having us. Very much appreciate you allowing us a little bit to talk. If you need anything from us, please reach out. Look at our website, give us a call. We're here to help and very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. Okay. Okay, moving along. We now have our main speaker for this evening. Put this back down. Who is Russell Redding, the Secretary of Agriculture for Pennsylvania. Mr. Redding is going to speak to us for a few minutes. So, I have his bio here if anybody's interested in reading. It's a little long. It's more than his time, so.
Luann, thank you. Good evening, everybody. And now I'll take Luann's very direct sort of guidance on speaking times, and I'll take Bob's lead. I think he set the example for the evening of just keeping it short and sweet. But let me begin first with a thank you. I mean, every time that I get a chance to speak, I'm tempted to launch into all of the program things that are important, and we know certainly townships are dealing with, and you're dealing with it. I live here in Adams County. I see it and know it. But most important thing I can say is a simple thank you. When I look around the tables at each person here and each of the entities, townships, but also I know that's not the only thing you do, right? You're volunteers in that work, but you're leading businesses, you're in the church council, you're working at the fair, you're doing all of these really important things that are central to a functioning society, right? And we value that and we appreciate very much what you do. So a note of thanks on behalf of the department for the work that you do as township supervisors. We say frequently in the department that we understand in Pennsylvania by Constitution, land use is vested with you. It's vested with municipalities and townships. And so when we talk about the future of agriculture, and certainly with your theme of rooted in tradition, in growing the tomorrow is that that's going to be a conversation about land, right? So we are mindful of that and again, appreciative of what townships do across Pennsylvania. I want to say thank you certainly to Dave Sanko and the PSATS State Board for the work and leadership over the years. But let me back up and just say to our commissioners here, thank you. The partnership that we have as the Department of Agriculture with the county commissioners in Adams County and across the state. Commissioner File, thank you. And Commissioner Martin, it's always a pleasure to be with you. And as mentioned by PSAS, certainly the work that is done in the legislature is critical. There's nothing we do in the Department of Agriculture. It doesn't involve local governments, state governments, federal government in some form. And I count myself living here, but also being friends with and admire the leadership of Adams County, Representative Dan Mao and Representative Eckert. Thank you for the partnership that we have. As you can imagine, there are spirited debates about what it is that we do. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of Representative Dan Mao's questions, you understand. So this group is smiling, by the way, so I think they understand. In all seriousness, the work on the Ag Committee, I look at what we do in Pennsylvania, and I should ask, is everybody here think they're normal? I usually get a chuckle. I say that because of the relationship that we have in Pennsylvania with local government, with our legislature, is a really important and special relationship. Right, what we are able to accomplish because of that relationship. That is not universal across the country. It really is important that what we have in the executive branch and the department, we honor the work of local government, we honor the work of our state legislature. So many good things have happened. I'll talk just briefly about a few of those. We took a moment tonight to recognize our veterans. And I'm always grateful every day for what it is that they have done, continue to do, for the freedoms that we get a chance to live out every day because of the sacrifice of a few. What is not always sort of understood is that in this country, about 2% of our nation feeds us. 2% are actively engaged in production agriculture. There are 2% of our nation that also serve in the armed forces. Think about it. So 2% allow us to sleep well, and 2% allow us to eat well. 4% of our nation that we depend on every day to get around, to function, to eat, to live, to be defended. We put a lot of responsibility on 4% of our nation. And 60% of those who serve in the armed forces today come from rural America. They come out of the rural communities. These are folks who are leaving farms and factories and places in between the coast to serve and defend us. So tonight we honor the veterans in this month. We certainly honor the farm community and the work that they do, but we also need to be mindful every day that 4% allow us to do the things that we want to do. So thank you to the farm community and to our veterans. I also want to know how many folks like to eat. Yeah. If you eat as well as we did tonight, you say thank you. Right? We do that every day, right? We come to expect another nice meal. We walk up to it and appreciate it. Most folks in this state and nation, they touch the food system, but it's called a refrigerator, right? For the others, we get a chance to sort of produce that and provide that. And I know inside of PSATs, inside of our township community and leaders, there are also folks who farm and are part of the agricultural system in our state, and certainly true here in Adams County. But I want to say thank you to Saves and Company 29, the folks who prepared it. But also want to take a moment and give a round of applause to the farm community who are here, and those who are farmers. Just raise your hand. I want to say thank you for what you do and the land that you provide and the food that you provide. hand and round of applause for them, please. Thank you. Back in the summer, I got a note from Ellen Dayhoff sometime in the summer about attending tonight, and it really, I appreciate, Ellen, the invitation, and we spent a lot of time at PSATs, and I go to a lot of places with township supervisors and appreciate them, and a lot of meetings with them, but never, at least in many years, have come to the Adams County group. So thank you for inviting me back, and you're the guys who keep, and gals who keep this, this county looking great. Appreciate the support. I think there are now 6 townships that are active participants in farmland preservation in Adams County. We'll recognize a milestone this Friday, but again, that is only possible by way of support out of the county and the support from townships and township supervisors. The agricultural security areas are the prerequisite for participation, as you know, in the preservation program. And to be in a county where we now have 25,000 acres that are preserved is a really amazing sort of milestone. So that didn't happen easily. There is much more to do. I'm proud of the state program for what we've done, and look at what has happened over the last sort of 30 years is really one of the important milestones of Pennsylvania's history. I'm sure you know how we got the preservation program, right? Most folks think it was a governor. Most believe it was some Secretary of Agriculture or chairman of an Appropriations Committee. I'm always proud to say that that happened by way of a public referendum on a ballot, right? We asked the voters in Pennsylvania, should we indebt ourselves for the purpose of preservation of our prime farmlands? On a 2-to-1 margin, they said yes. 2-to-1, carried by the urban centers. If it were only the votes of our rural communities to vote for preservation, we would have no preservation program. I always underscore that. It took the urban centers to say yes to farmland preservation. And every time that I sign one of the state easements, in the back of my mind is to make sure that we remember that every one of those families, and I think there's roughly 200 here in Adams County that have participated in the preservation program. Statewide, about 6,600. That this generation made that decision. But these easements carry a restriction that says that this farm shall remain a productive agricultural asset in perpetuity. When I served on the Adams County Preservation Board and the very first board, I think it was Tim Brown who asked me, well, what does perpetuity mean? And I said, forever and a day. You never change those, right? So every one of the farms in this county, every one of the farms across the state have agreed to that land being in preservation forever. It's an important moment. The only state in the nation with the number of farms preserved as we do. Only state that's done it. And the only state that's done it by a public referendum ballot initiative. That's important. It's also important that we remember the next and the next and the next generation. To make sure that we think about those who it made sense when mom and dad said yes. What about this generation and the next generation? That those farms, as important as the preservation and the act of preservation is we have to be thinking about what else we can do to make sure that those farms remain viable for perpetuity. That's a conversation that counties need to have and townships need to have, and I'm proud that, you know, in Adams County with the work and the focus that we have here is that we're mindful of that. We need to make sure that those farms can remain key assets to both the county and contribution to agriculture, but also to the state of Pennsylvania. It's why we have put such emphasis in the administration on agriculture being in the economic development strategy for the state. The first time in nearly 20 years that we've had a strategy. One of the 5 pillars in that strategy is agriculture. And I'm proud of that. It's along with robotics and life sciences and manufacturing and energy. I would argue that agriculture is the crosscut to all 5 sectors. It's in there, making sure that we now bring that to life by way of the economic investments that we do, the work that we do with the legislature to make sure that we have an innovation fund, which Pennsylvania does for the very first time, making sure that we think about young farmers and their interest in agriculture. That is what the economic strategy allows us to do. Several other points that are around land use. We understand the solar issue. Land is something that we spend a lot of time thinking about, working on. It is what defines Pennsylvania. It defines our quality of life and our food system. It is the founding of this nation. It's what we fight over. It's what we value. So the discussions and the decisions that we make or have to make about land are critical. That cannot happen without you. We can't have a conversation about the future of preservation without you. We can't have a conversation about the future of agriculture without you. We can't talk about the future of energy development without you. We can't have a conversation about the quality of life in this county or this state without you. We need you. We need you in that conversation. We understand that those issues that we confront around land are complicated because of what we state in our Constitution. But we also understand that we need a long vision for what land use looks like in Pennsylvania. In 5 years between 2 censuses of 2017 and 2022, Pennsylvania lost 200,000 acres of land. Gone. 200,000 acres. Do the math, right? We have preserved 660,000. We lost 200,000 in just 5 years. So decisions we make about how to use land, where to put energy, what to preserve, but ultimately we need to make decisions about that land being available for a lot of things, but I would hope in your planning and thinking. It's why we've got Ag Security Area piece of your township and a core piece of the work that you do as a county and certainly we do as a state. There are issues surrounding our natural resources and what happens particularly here in this Chesapeake Bay watershed is an important conversation. Is to make sure that we're thinking about the conservation and preservation of this land, that we're working with the Conservation District who was here tonight, that we're working with Penn State University and our watershed stewards, masters, that we're thinking about the conservation of this work and this land as well. It raises issues around the types of agriculture that are here in Pennsylvania. I haven't been on a farm in my professional life that has been static. Right? They're growing, they're moving, they're changing. They have to be viable today. So that has helped us think about what it is that we do in the department and making sure that we are both preserving it, but making sure that it's not locked in time. That folks have an opportunity to use those natural resources for production and the economic enterprise of agriculture. I know you share that, but I state it because it's the way our Constitution builds our relationship and making sure those townships and counties and the state is that we are thinking strategically about agriculture in Pennsylvania. I'm asked many times to talk about and reflect on agriculture, particularly when we are in discussions or debates about what the right policies are for both Pennsylvania and our nation. And I come back to sort of the assets of Pennsylvania. I think about where we're located, of being a keystone. is that we have amazing sort of land and soil resources here in Pennsylvania. We have 44 inches of natural rain. Would use and could use some right now, but I say that that's 44 inches of natural rain. I've trained myself every day to look at the back page of the New York Times, to look at the heat maps. And you look at the West Coast and production centers, and I like what we have, right? Beautiful land and soils. We're located with 40 million people in the neighborhood. We've got 44 inches of natural rain. We've got more young farmers under the age of 35 than any other state in the nation. We have 3 ports that link us to the world. This entire country is 5% of the available stomachs. We're in the food business. 95% of the stomachs are someplace other than the United States of America. How do we get what we have to them? It's pretty complicated. We've got a lot of oceans in between. You need some ports. We've got 3 in Pennsylvania. We have Penn State University, and I think in this time of transition, we should all be asking ourselves about core missions and core institutions. And I put Penn State on that list, is that we need to think about our research institutions to tackle the big problems of our time, right? And Luann's given me the eyeball. We need to think about the institutions. So I make my asset list all the time, but on that list is the ability to do what we do with young people, to keep investing in Pennsylvania in economic development and agriculture, to look at the food system of where we are, our port infrastructure, and just having the institutional capacity to do what we need to do. So honored to be with you, honored to live in this county with you, and thank you tonight for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Redding. I appreciate your time. I asked the folks from Saves to come out so we could thank them for the great dinner that we had, and we appreciate everything that they do for us. Thank you. Job well done, guys and girls. Thanks. Okay. I have one more thing for me personally that I'd like to do. I'm not going to pick it up. Tam, would you help me a minute? Oh, Sean. Okay. Yes, sir.
I knew I would forget some thank yous,
Oh, okay.
Number 1, you already did to Saves, all right, for the dinner. Number 2, the community media. Community media and I go way back when we used to do events with the Council of Governments. And number 3, my favorite newspaper reporter from the Gettysburg Times, Vanessa. I thank them all.
Yeah, and Vanessa's actually leaving the Gettysburg Times.
She's leaving.
She's leaving, yes.
Another Alex Hayes is leaving.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if y'all heard what Bob said. He gave his final thank yous as he's
Make sure I didn't want to
making his way out the door. So my thank yous tonight go out to the ladies that support me, Mitzi, Shannon, and Carol. I have something for each of you. Come on up, please.